surrounded by hatred and trapped by fear. I'm in a box. I've got no place to go. If I follow my mind, I know I'll slaughter my own. Help me, I'm the prisoner. Won't you hear my plea? I need somebody, yeah, to listen to me. I beg you, brothers and sisters, I'm counting on you, yeah. Black babies in the womb.
Peace and love, family. Welcome again to the NEPPC podcast. I'm Brother Frank, and I'm with former political prisoner
Abdul Islam.
Today we focus on the life and the legacy of Kojo Bomani Sababu, member of the Black Liberation Army. And also, he was involved with the Black Panther Party, but at least that's where he got his political education from. So I'm Brother Frank, and I'm with
Abdul Islam,
who is a former political prisoner. And today we come to talk about this brother who's not talked about enough. That's one of the things that we want to do on this platform, is to start talking about certain political prisoners that we don't talk enough about. So this brother was born May 27th of 1953. Some of the charges that he had was bank expropriation, the murder of a drug dealer, and attempt escape from prison. These ideas or these charges, you know, they have political aspect to them. It's of political nature, right? It's a struggle for people's self-determination. It's a struggle to advocate for what you know is right, and that relationship between people and power. And, you know, to advocate for your self-determination is to go through the phases that is necessary to acquire power. Right? We look at what's going on. We look at this police killing in Brownsville, and we look at a number of things that has been going on historically, and we ask ourselves, if we don't take our self-determination seriously, then how do we expect anybody to respect us first and foremost, and how do we expect things to become better, right? Who's responsible for your liberation? If it's not you, then who? These are ideas, questions that we have to think about. So today's discussion, that's what it's about. So when you think about Kojo Bomani Sababu, think about a freedom fighter who's currently incarcerated. He's a captured freedom fighter. He's not a terrorist. He's not a criminal. He's a brother with some consciousness. In fact, in 1968, that's when he was politicized. He attended political education that was conducted by the Black Panther Party, and this was when he started to awaken politically. At a young age, his mother and father, they made their transition, his mother being killed. So he had a rough upbringing, and throughout it all, he remained resilient in his understanding of what he needed to do for his people. I know one of the quotes he said that he didn't have solutions, but he knew in the prison system were people who had solutions, and these people are identified as political prisoners. Those who are of a certain level of political consciousness know that they are political prisoners. They are political prisoners in the United States, and our duty as those who are conscious is to make those who are not conscious conscious. So that's a task itself, but it's a task that we have to take up if we truly respect those who make those sacrifices. So Abdul Haq Islam, former political prisoner, what's your thoughts on the brother Kojo Bomani, Sababu?
The brother is an inspiration. Prison is something that is designed to destroy your will to resist, to make you very, very submissive, to give up, and here's a brother since 55 years in prison who still remain resilient, who overcame the plans of the state, to break him, very, very respectable brother. Frank just said that the brother Kojo said that to support the political prisoners because these are brothers and sisters who years from now, if we don't support them now and get access to their wisdom and their words, they won't be around no more. And he is saying something similar to what Brother Frank be saying. Brother Frank be saying, don't let our political prisoners die in prison. They need to be out here with us. Kojo's one of Kojo's so-called charges was killing a drug dealer. And when I was out there as a member of the Black Men's Movement Against Crack, I used to beat up drug dealers. So so on that line, that relates to my thought on that one. It's expropriation. The charge that he was trying to escape. I mean, if he was, I can dig that too. Because as Russell Marine Schultz said, you can never abandon your will to win. You got to always have that will to fight. The brother said that it is your political prisoners' duty to escape. So they say that the brother had put together helicopters, hand grenades, rapid fire guns and stuff like that in an attempt to escape. I mean, so if he did, that was the will to be free. Uhuru means freedom. So the will to be free. We're fighting to be free, and the brother, is a great asset to our people, against an enemy who has designed a system, to make us give in, to make us give up, and as revolutionaries, we say never give up, always fight, continue to be free. Do not let anything, you understand, destroy your humanity, to be hard as a brick, for your mind to be hard as a brick. Have these current firm convictions to love freedom. The brother loved freedom, the brother loved self-determination, deciding for himself what his fate would be, So we say right on, and let's fight to make this brother free. Here he is. This is the brother right here. I got the shirt on.
That's another brother, Kamal Siddiqui. We call him about Kojo Bomani Sababu.
Oh, right.
Right. So, but exactly, but they all are part of the same, the same situation that's happening. That's people who had the courage to fight back, to fight this oppressive system, to liberate their people are currently in prison, right? And they're waiting for us to bring them home. We're taxpayers, and we have a say-so on how our tax dollars are being used. The state uses our tax dollars without our input, and we have to really advocate for what we know is correct, and we have to do that by raising our consciousness. One of the things that just recently happened, and I think that taxpayers need to be alarmed, and they need to really take the role of that they have in society even more seriously, is with the case of the Uhuru 3, right? Mm-hmm. Because whether we're talking about Kojo, Bomani, Sababu, or we're talking about the Uhuru 3, excuse me, we're talking about people who are fighting for our self-determination. Uhuru 3, they were being charged based on their right to be self-determined. And the state was saying that there was outsiders who were influencing them, which were ridiculous charges. And I'm just thinking about the amount of money that the state used to investigate these people, because while these FBI agents are on stand testifying, they're on the clock. Mm-hmm. They're getting paid. Mm-hmm. And these are tax dollars. And this is what we have to think about. Why are you going after such and such? Why are you incarcerating our political prisoners? And when I say you, I'm talking about the state. Why is the state incarcerating political prisoners for so long? Brother Kojo has been locked up for decades. In fact, all the charges that he had, everybody but him has been released. So why is it that he's still incarcerated? That should alarm us taxpayers, because our taxpayers, our tax dollars is used to house him. Right, so let's be conscious of that, and let's not take our position as taxpayers lightly. Let's put those who are in position to make decisions on behalf of us. Let's put them to the test. Let's push them as far as we can push them. Let's let them know that we are out here to fight the fight long term. We're inspired by our captured freedom fighters, and we don't want to see them die in prison. We want them home to their loved ones. We want to do what we need to do in terms of taking care of them. So I made the relationship between Kojo and Uhuru 3. How do you see that situation?
Talking about credit, I want to apologize for that, but that's the memory I had, because another thing I wanted to talk about was the political prisoners parade, and one of the brothers represented there was Kamal Siddiqui, and there he is there, and his daughter rode on the float, the political prisoners float, and talked about the political prisoners and their contributions. Uhuru 3, they are very, very relevant, because they were attacked because of their ability to successfully use their freedom of speech. Their freedom of speech was attacked, and so that's an attack on us all. The ability to give out information, to bring up facts that people might not know too much about, to give an analysis of those facts, to show people, where to do the research, these type of things, the freedom of speech, very, very a critical issue, right now. And to give you an example of why the freedom of speech is important, if you depend on the state, you understand, to get information, you get it absolutely upside down. For example, Kamala Harris, who's running for president, has said that the thing about Israel, the thing about Israel is about Israel's ability for self-defense, and that's the exact opposite of what's going on. She is defining, people, settlers stealing land, you understand, to advance America's in imperialistic ideas, you understand, in the Middle East. She equates this with self-defense. So if we listen to these folks, to try to get our ideas about what's going on, we'd be totally running backwards, totally in the blind about what's really going on. And so we must fight for our ability for self-defense, for self-determination, to tell the truth about what's happening, to depend on ourselves, and don't depend on the media that much. about what's going on.
Absolutely, because it's not our media, and that's why you have platforms like the NEPPC podcast, Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition podcast, because this is the platform that focuses exclusively on political prisoners. We make the relationship between U.S. held political prisoners and the current situation that's going on. And I think that, that's very important that we need to understand that, because as our brother Kojo taught us, they are strong minds with solutions for what's going on currently that's in prison. And they've been in prison way too long, because how long could someone be in prison before you say that that individual or those individuals are rehabilitated? And if this is a correctional facility, then how long does it take for them to be corrected? And who determines what is correction, right? What ideas are correct? Because one of the things that Kojo represents is he represents people who are willing to go as far as they can for their self-determination. Because how should we deal with drug dealers? How should we deal with the fact that you have financial institutions that profit off our miseries, right? Look at what's going on in our community, the Black communities. They're not the same today as they were yesterday. We're being ethnically removed from our communities. We can't afford to live in our own community. And those who are outside of our community, they're getting assistance from financial institutions to be able to live in those areas and do business in those areas. And they're not being challenged in terms of who should live where they're buying property, and who they should hire where they're doing business at. These are ideas that needs to be raised amongst people, and people must struggle to raise their own consciousness, just like Kojo did in 1968 when he was politicized, when he went to the Black Panther Party political education course, and he knew that something was going on, and he had to do something about it, because he, like us, was not conscious for the sake of being conscious. He decided that he had to take a responsibility for the advancement, for the liberation of his people, because he identified his people as being oppressed, as dealing with situations that they were not responsible for in terms of their existing, but they had to be responsible for their response. What were they going to do about the current situation? How were they going to implement change? The political development was interrupted momentarily by religious and cultural nationalism. And, he understood the distinction between that concept or that perspective as opposed to a political perspective. When you have material based on your, you have it's based materially on your conditions, and you know that you have to do what's necessary in terms of changing that reality. That reality is a reality that can't be changed any other way but that way. So you have to interact with those conditions, and you have to do what is necessary. And when we look at his situation and we look at his incarceration, him being sentenced for 55 years to life, right? Way too long for somebody to be corrected. We look at why he's incarcerated. He does not be absolved in self-pity. In fact, he becomes part of an organization called the Inmate Legal Association. In 1981, he becomes the director of this organization. This organization is making sure that the rights of prisoners are upheld. And that's something that should be commended, because anybody could get sidetracked. I can only imagine how it is in prison. I know Abdul Haq Islam could speak to that a lot more in detail in terms of how you can be distracted, how you could be thrown off. But for him to be a professional organizer wherever he is says a lot about who he is and the principles that he stands on. And I think that, we owe him a lot more than what we give him. We need to learn more about him. Don't take our word for what we're telling you about him. Do your own research. We provide you with some information as this podcast episode came on, and it's up to you to internalize that information, share with loved ones, share with others, raise their consciousness, and make a decision about what you're going to do. Write to the brother, see what's going on. I know he's currently waiting for a hip transplant, so he's dealing with some compromising situations. So I know a letter will keep his spirits up. I challenge myself to do that too, to write him a letter let him know that we produced an episode that was focused on him, his life, and how it relates to our current situation. Because every time we bring up a political prisoner, whether it's Kojo, Bomani, Sababu, whether it's Joy Powell, Kamal Siddiqui, Imam Jamil Al-Amin, Mumia Abu Jamal, regardless of who it is, we're talking about their relationship or their sacrifices and how it relates in 2024 or whatever year we put out an episode to the current situation, to what's going on. Black people are still being killed by police. Black people are still struggling for food, clothing, and shelter. We're still dealing with those same current situations because we are making progress, but we still got more work to do to acquire real power that is sustainable for years to come, power that decides this is the new standard of living. And when you think about Kojo Bomani Sababu, right, how do you relate his life and his commitment and sacrifice to the concept of power?
Well, when you think of power versus powerlessness, the structure of the current oppressive system, is to apply pressure on you so that you'll give up the idea of power, that you will hear and obey, and be like a little puppy dog. You understand? That depends upon his master for everything. But Kojo exhibited the exact opposite of that. The embodiment, the actualization of power. The power of a political mind, of a being. You understand that is full of resistance. Will never give in. 55 years. Sentence, and the spirit of struggle is still there to get the truth out to the people. The determination to be free. This is the opposite of what the state wants. The state tries to perpetuate the slave mentality. And our political prisoners are those who refuse, to be abject slaves, weaklings. Power, being strong people, being strong-minded, resisting, keeping your principles, having very, very strong ideas, refusal to be conquered, to be dominated, to have these things within you, you understand, which keep you going on, which keeps you fighting, to fight with all your might, you understand? These are the ideas you have in your head, and these are powerful individuals. And so we are blessed to have powerful people among us, like Brother Kojo, and like the brother said, don't wait till the political prisoners pass away and, their gift to humanity is gone to the grave. Don't wait till that. Fight now to free political prisoners. The political prisoners is an issue, that we must take up. Very, very important issue. Just as important as having air to breathe and water to drink. These life-giving substances. The ideas, the personalities, the spirit of our political prisoners is life-giving as water and air. And so we must treasure these things and fight for them. A minute ago, I was going to speak on another aspect to make us understand the importance of our freedom of speech to tell the truth. Right now, another thing that's in the headlines a lot is this FBI case, against the Uhuru 3, in which they had no witnesses, and show the illogic of the case. They were found not guilty of the act of being agents for Russia, but at the same time guilty of being a conspiracy. So that shows you the confusion of the jury. So if people are going to get on the jury, if black people are going to get on the jury, Don't become confused like that. That is totally illogical. Not guilty of conspiring, to be an agent for Russia. No, not guilty for being an agent, but guilty of conspiring. So how can you conspire, when the act was not even committed? So the struggle continues. And we struggle to be our own people, to not be misled by enemy that don't care nothing about us. Also Kojo inspired us to read, to study. When I was in prison, I spent a lot of time studying the nature of the system. This is also what Brother Kojo did during his incarceration. To be able to logically determine the truth between falsehood, the difference between falsehood and the truth. You understand? To understand what makes things happen. You understand? To understand how systems work and this type of thing. So this is what we must be engaged in. And how to avoid. And how to raise up young people among us. Who don't fall victim. To becoming agents for the state, agents against their own people. One thing again is to relate to what I'm talking about. It's in the headlines right now. This P Diddy thing, and we can't speak on the guilt or innocence of P Diddy right now, but this whole idea of this pimping culture, this fast life thing, this is flashing in the news right now, and so we say that the distaste, this lifestyle, whether P Diddy is guilty or innocent, the distaste for this lifestyle, pimp, bringing young girls across state lines and all that. There's a better way of life, fighting for your people, fighting for the truth, fighting for justice, standing up for righteousness. As we turn away, as this thing, the foulness of that way of life, is being broadcast, it's being in the news right now, it should pull us, we should be magnetized, you understand, to a lifestyle of telling the truth, of standing up and working for justice, working for the truth, working for the good. This has to be a beautification, of that lifestyle as the ugliness, of the American type lifestyle of hustling and not caring nothing about nobody, selling out your mama for 15 cents. As that thing becomes the ugliness of that is exposed, the beauty, you understand, of standing up of our humanity, standing up for good, this must grow, in our being, in our consciousness, in our heart and soul, to direct the way we speak and the way we act. Black power.
Absolutely. So we need, for every one P Diddy that we have, we need 5 Kojos.
Right on.
We need to combat those ideas, that lifestyle, right? Because regardless of what your position is on a situation, you got to ask yourself these questions: is it hurting your people or is it helping your people? And from that, then you decide, how much of that you're going to give your time to, how much of that are you going to give your resources. When I say resources, your finances, right? Because it takes you time to make your money, and it takes the time to decide, where your money is going to go to, where your time itself is going to go to, and from that, that in which you invest has a staying power amongst our people or not. And that's why we, the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition, we come with this podcast episode, and we've been continuous with these episodes to raise awareness about political prisoners. We ask those who are viewing right now, please share with your contacts, let them know what we stand for, what we're about. Consider a donation. No donation is too small. No donation is too large. You can cash at me at Sefu Sankofa. That's SEFUSANKOFA. Let us know rather what you want your money to be done with, because there's political prisoners like Joy Powell, She's diabetic because of her living conditions, and she needs certain meals to keep her healthy. And the only way she can get those meals is through commissary. So that's why, those are some of the things that we're able to do with your donations. You have political prisoners that have families that want to go pay them a visit. We finance those trips. If you say that's what you want us to do, there are a number of things that's happening in the communities. Like when Sugar Ray organized the Vegan Fest in Queensbridge and allowed us, the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition, to have a table there. We're grateful for that. That has to be funded. There's posters that can be obtained, and they need to be put up in different places. So just to give you an idea of what is going to be done with your contribution, so you don't think that anything outside of that is being done. But you have a viewpoint. We have a deep concern about what you want done with your contribution, because we want you to respect what we do and what we stand for, because we're out here struggling to free our political prisoners and not let them die in prison. So the attack on Uhuru 3 is real. It's not the first time that people with consciousness were attacked. You had the New York 8 that were attacked, and we're free. So you have to look at these situations and look at them in their similarities. They are reflective of the idea of a people fighting for the self-determination, just as Kojo, Bomani, Sababu did and continues to do while incarcerated. So anyway, we'll close this episode with that. You have any last remarks, my brother, before we shut it down?
No, nothing other than, look up Kojo, look up other political prisoners, tell people to study history and be guided by history, to study the history of resistance, like Frank said, Frank just talked about, putting together events. He talked about he talked about a vegan fest. People can put together podcasts, people can write, they can, take up classes. They can even develop classes, to push our people forward, So we call on people to come with actions, in the spirit of liberation, and to always remember Black Power, be powerful people, and keep, to live by Black Power, and to stand up, and without a doubt, we're gonna win Black Power.
Black Power. What's the call?
Free them all.
What's the call?
Free them all.